The marketers from your classic retail are not going to know how to market for multi-level marketing. The people, even in logistics, who are normally sending products to supermarkets or to other retail outlets, they don't know how to get pick packs to work for single boxes that have to go to single people. It's a different world. And they might be the head of distribution, and they might have an idea, and of course they're going to be worthy of those topics and educated and so on and so forth, but they're not going to know the nuances of and the importance of those areas. And so you have to set up a team that is fully dedicated to making this thing work, or it won't. I was thinking about the loyalty factors to employees. I've heard from headhunters recently in the past 12 months, headhunters who have asked me, they've said, I've tried multiple times in multiple markets to get employees, executives, managers from Amway to go to another business opportunity in multi-level marketing or indirect selling, and I can't get them to leave.
Why do you think that is?
What's the secret sauce, right? Why are these people so loyal? And it's and this was in my generation. This was the absolute truth, is that the family's actions truly were aligned with the values that were engraved in stone in the front of the global headquarters of Freedom and Hope and Family and Reward, and they demonstrated that in a way that I believe is second to none. I recall the mother or the father of one of our executives during a global growth conference actually passed away. And without even thinking, they said, and the meeting was out in California and the situation was out on the East Coast, and they said, you take the corporate jet, you go with your family, and you go now. And they put him on the corporate jet and flew him out to the East Coast. You know, that's pretty cool. They could have just said, we'll pay your ticket. They didn't have to do anything because it wasn't their responsibility, but they talked about us being a family, and they treated us as if we're a family, and things like that resonated. And you could see, you know, when the owner of the company is visiting an affiliate, and without rehearsing, remembered the first name of the lady at the reception. And greeted her as such when he arrived, and did that with all the employees, because he truly knew the first names of every single employee, and probably the names of their dogs as well, if they had ever had that conversation before. And those things resonate. And the way that we truly, long before it was a woke conversation about women in business and things like that, you know, we took the opportunity when people said, "Oh, I'm going to go on maternity leave," and asked if they could work part-time when they came back, and work from home in the 90s, and we said yes. And we had good experiences. And those women, when they came back, they were fiercely loyal to the company. Because in the time for over a couple of years, we said yes to them, we trusted them, we believed in them, and they at the same time developed a multitasking experience and capability that was second to none. And all those things add up and become your culture. And people say, you know, you can offer me more money, but can you offer me this culture? And that is amazing. And that's the real glue and sticky stuff. You know, bonuses are great, salaries are great, but when you put together events and you have these employee events and you do things together, and in Europe we had our soccer tournaments where people came on buses and trains and cars and planes, and they came to a soccer tournament where we had 20-some teams fighting against each other all Saturday afternoon in these 5-on-5, 6-on-6 tournament or whatever it was. And then had a celebration in the evening and stayed in these bed and breakfasts. It wasn't 5-star, it was just fun. And then had a big celebration in the evenings. Those are things that were just part of our DNA. And I fully understood, and I try to explain this to the headhunter and say, this is something you can't match. You can't match.
And I think the cooperation that we had internally, if somebody was approaching you and say, hey, Christian, I need your help. In a lot of companies, they got the question, possibly, what can you do for me? That was never a question in the company. Somebody came to you, another manager said, hey, help me out. I have that and that topic to solve. And I think you can play that and that role. And then you were sitting together and you were talking solutions.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, basically what you're saying is that people buy into culture, not commission. Because very often when I talk to executives who are wanting to get into the multi-level marketing, it's all about the compensation plan. Oh, the guy can make a fortune, he can earn this, he gets this on this level and that. But in actual fact, that's not what holds an MLM business together.
I don't believe so. I believe in just that. You know, when you get a check, and as soon as you've spent it, it's gone, and you're looking for your next check. Okay, right? But it's the stories that you can tell. Like, and like my wife and I know we had an extremely difficult conversation that we had to have with a major leader. In my younger days, I was a sales manager, and it was, you know, I had been in the company for maybe 2 years, and we had to go out and talk to these people about suspending their business, and it was there were colossal sums of money involved in this potential suspension, and it was really stressful. And it was something me as a young guy I hadn't been involved with before, and got drove back to the office, and my boss turned to me and he says, I want you to go out to dinner with your wife tonight. I want you to go to your favorite Italian restaurant. I want you to have an amazing meal and an amazing bottle of wine, and I want you to give me the invoice on Monday morning. And I was like, wow, nobody's ever done that to me before. That's really cool. He saw that this was a stressful day and he wanted to make sure that I was good for the weekend, and he made it good. And we went out and had a wonderful bottle of wine and a wonderful dinner, and I gave him the check.
And that's the culture of the business.
And that was the culture of the business.
And if people are just buying into the money, then what keeps them there? Because the next person to offer them more money.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't talk about the money I made. I talk about the experiences I had.
Yeah. And the same with the network, because it's not just the staff. I mean, with the network, if all they did was buy into your compensation plan, then what holds them to your business?
Yeah, that's a relationship business, and the community aspect plays a huge role. It plays a huge role. You have very often this upline, downline, friendships, and there's usually somebody who is taking care about people, building them, helping them, and that's natural. And it's not something which is spoken about. It really happens. It happens 100. It happens 1,000 times.
Look at the reasons initially, and if you go back and ask people who are successful in the company today, or any multi-level marketing company today, what are the reasons why they joined the business in the first place? Some are looking for community. They're looking for friends, right? Some are looking to earn a part-time income because they want to pay for the tennis lessons of their children, right? Others are looking for a long-term piece. Others just want to have some fun. You know, there's so many different reasons for getting into the business, and then you learn whether this is something for me. You learn maybe about a new part of yourself that you didn't know about. You know, I want to develop. How many times do we talk to people along the way who said, "Oh yeah, I used to be in multi-level marketing. Man, I learned a lot. It wasn't for me, but I learned a lot. Man, I learned how to sell. I learned how to. I learned new customer acquisition. I learned to talk on stage. I learned how to structure myself. I learned how to organize myself. You name it. Crazy stories, right?
Yeah, and so you see incredible careers that you don't see in any other industry. Truck drivers becoming the heads of organizations who have a couple of thousand people they take care of when they work with.
Right.
That doesn't happen at Caterpillar or wherever.
Right.
Not really.
Or people leaving executive positions in corporations and doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And then standing on stage and celebrating their successes together with the truck driver.
Yeah.
Right. Where do you find that?
Well, in some companies, and your one in particular, what I found, which was quite amazing, was how many doctors and lawyers and accountants and professionals became part of that business from the point of view of all of those things you're saying. They bought into the ethos of the business, but also the fact that they weren't selling hours for dollars, that they could actually build an organization and build an income stream and build a business in actual fact.
And they saw the possibility to be their own boss and make their own decisions. Look, if you want to be successful, and this whole thing about this is my maybe old-fashioned analog opinion, but work-life balance, I believe, is something that you talk about when you retire. Okay, if you want to be successful in anything, you work your keister off. and to be really, really good at that. And to if you think that you can be super successful and earn a lot of money on a 25-hour work week because you'd rather spend 3.5 days, hiking in the mountains, good on you. Good luck. I think most people would say that that's a little bit of a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. You could have a different opinion. I believe that, hard work, no matter where you come from, you compensate your deficits with hard work. You put in the time and you make up those deficits. And I might not be good at this, but I'm good over here, and I'm going to do twice as much of this to make up for where I'm just not good here.
And in actual fact, that messaging needs to come from the corporate, because I've seen so many companies say, all you have to do is. Have you ever heard those words? I mean, and it's so prevalent in the MLM space. All you need to do is, but there's no all you need to do is.
But that has really changed over the years, that there is no, you can become very quick, very wealthy. That isn't not any longer a topic.
Totally agree.
Because the companies are really, they are very open in their communications, and so is the leadership in the meantime. They know that it doesn't pay out if you bring 100 people in and you leave 99 without creating anything. So there is a sentence which says, you better under-promise and over-deliver. And that's absolutely right.
In the 80s and 90s, as multi-level marketing was going global and going across Europe as well, there was a particular US-driven cultural wave that was going with it, and talking about cars and boats and houses and things like that was kind of a magnet for people. But the point is that with compensation and compensation plans, yes, you can earn money. Yes, you can earn what you want to earn in multi-level marketing. But to earn good money, then you've got to be really good and you've got to work really, really hard. But to be one of those top earners, to be one of those top global earners or top market earners, it's going to take a long time. It's not going to happen overnight. And you have to compare yourself. You can't talk about those things. Yes, it's possible, but it's also just as possible to be the next #1 tennis player in your market and maybe go on and actually participate in Wimbledon. What are the chances of you being a soccer star or a tennis star or whatever, actually going on and competing in the Champions League finals or competing in Wimbledon or driving a Ferrari for Formula One? Well, not a lot of people get that opportunity. So that's realistic about our business as well, because the number of people who you're going to see doing that are the same number of people you're going to be seeing starting in Wimbledon every year in June.
That's a handful of people.
Exactly.
Let's be honest. The one difference between this and Wimbledon is that as a normal person, there's no ways that I can make a living playing tennis. But as a normal person, I can make a good living within the MLM space.
Yep.
Because in actual fact, as you said, this is the one area where hard work can actually compensate for a lack of talent. But in Wimbledon, in tennis, doesn't matter how hard you work, it cannot there's no ways you can compensate for a lack of talent.
That comparison, because to take this analogy further, within the multi-level marketing business, everybody around you wants you to be successful and do what is necessary to help you to be successful. Whether they're part of your organization or not, everybody helps everybody. And in the tennis analogy, it's just the opposite. They don't want you to be successful. They want to be successful. They want the check and the trophy themselves. And here it's celebrating other people's success is a key component to the business.
Yeah, competition is totally different. It's totally different.
Yeah.
Well, that's the interesting thing about the MLM space, is that in order for me to be successful, I have to help you be successful. In order for me to be successful, I need to make sure you're a very happy customer. that you are going to come back, that you understand the products. Or if I'm recruiting somebody, I need to make sure that they are making money, because if they don't make money, then I don't make money. So it is a much more, with competition, it's all me, 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 I. With multi-level marketing, it's you.
Yeah.
If you're in the network or direct selling space, it is about you, not about me.
Right. And interesting is that it's unique that you define what your success is and nobody else.
Yeah.
Because there are no obligations. There's nobody saying you, if you have to leave the business, you can no longer participate if you don't do this. As long as you're paying your renewal fee and enjoying it because you want to just be part of the community and you're interested in going to training sessions every Tuesday night because it's fun, that's fine. If you're satisfied just selling a few products on one weekend a month and that's what you want to do, that's fine too. If you want to go out and train and make 100 other people to be as successful as you are, and because of that you're able to earn 6 figures and more, that's your personal definition of success. There's nothing better in the world.
Yeah. What I've noticed quite a bit in the modern era, and things have changed quite a lot. When I first got into multi-level marketing, it was all about you sign up 4 people, who sign up 5 people, who sign up 10 people, and you get this entire pyramid structure. Whereas I noticed that in modern day networking, it's about developing a customer base. That you want people to buy the products, use the products, repeat order the products. And in actual fact, your business is built on the foundation of strong customer base. As a matter of fact, in some countries, there's a 70-30 rule. You have to have 70% of your business coming from customers. Do you find that as well?
Good. Yeah. Without products, there is no money earned. So that's the base of each and every compensation plan. And I think a customer base is very, very important for somebody who wants to build a serious business. Doesn't matter the size of it. You can have 10, 15 customers, just sell to your neighbors and you might be satisfied with 150 euro, whatever. That can have another dimension, or it can be big. The good thing is, if you build as a leader a network like that, then you have the duplication effect. That means everybody in your organization is building the business in the same way and has a solid customer base, which makes the business itself very, very solid. And you don't have to be concerned that overnight you will lose your income. That's one of the most important points.
And the big thing about it that I've noticed is that when it comes to products within our space, the quality of the product is much more important than the price. So in other words, you don't have to have the cheapest product on the market, but what you do have to do is you have to have a high quality product that does what it says and that people can believe in.
Yep, totally. I was looking at this from a different angle, and that is from the consulting work that we've been doing now for 3 or 4 years. Is that we're seeing other companies that have adapted their compensation plans so that, for example, there must be a customer base of a certain level before you're even allowed to sponsor somebody else into the business. And personally, I think that that's a good thing. Right. When you used to hear in the past, and it's probably still talked about today as well, you don't have to sell anything. You don't have to sell anything. All you have to do is find other people, and you don't have to sell any products. Well, the fact is that this entire industry is product driven, and there is no pull for your products. Products have to be sold. That means it sounds negative, but if it's not pull, it's push. Right, and yes, there is brand loyalty that is built, but it has to start somewhere. And if it doesn't start by actually demonstrating the products and showing the benefits and talking about that, that is selling. And you could call it any way you want, but you have to admit the fact that you are doing a product demonstration is selling the product. And those things have to be learned and have to be done and have to be an instrumental part of what the organization does in order to have that foundation. You can't just sponsor people and expect to earn a check. It doesn't work.
Well, what I say to a lot of CEOs that I talk to is you can spend millions of dollars advertising your product to create brand awareness and brand loyalty, or you can spend thousands of dollars teaching your people why the products are amazing and let them go out there and spread the word. And so the choice is yours, you know. In traditional marketing, you are spending millions on advertising to try and get the same amount of awareness that I can sit down with you and in 2 minutes, because you trust me, I'm your friend. You know me, you care about me, you like me, you trust what I say, and it costs the company peanuts to get that kind of brand loyalty.
Yeah, and I don't know how many executives we saw that came in from other industries, joined multi-level marketing without experience in it, and the first go-to was our global advertising program, right? It should have been global training. It should have been, global loyalty programs, global incentives, and things like that. Because, to me, corporate advertising in direct selling is something that the executives do because it's fun, but it doesn't do a lot for the business.
It does zero for the business. Because what is our business built on? It's built on word of mouth.
Yeah, your field force is the brand ambassadors that you have, and I think, and we know a lot of things specifically in customer sales is personal sales, because people know each other still. Doesn't matter if it's happening digital, but they know each other. And is there any better thing that if you refer me a product and I know you, I like you, I trust you. So the product comes to me with a certain quality already, versus I see advertising on TV, in reels, wherever. They're all looking nice, it's all great, but there's nobody who's giving me the experience. The experience is given by you because you tell me how good the product is.
I heard when I was an executive in Japan that Coca-Cola spent more money on advertising in Japan alone than we had in total sales. So how are we going to try and compete in this space of brand recognition when it isn't?
Yeah, and it's not effective.
By any means. And it's a different industry.
Yeah, exactly. And if somebody coming into the space understands that fundamental principle and focuses on that aspect of the business, in other words, teaching their people why the product is brilliant, so that when that person opens their mouth, that belief comes out. That's where the money should be spent.
If you are somebody with a budget and a plan and an idea, and you want to get into multi-level marketing, my advice would be to focus. Yes, you have to have a compensation plan and so on and so forth, but I would put the most pre-launch effort into identifying how I'm going to attract those first people to come in and how I'm going to train them to be successful before we even launch. Because the product and the plan and the other supporting factors that are going to be there are all great. But without that first small army, that first small group of people who are going to be out there and be motivated and equipped with the right message about our opportunity, without that.
And it actually comes down to the product, Mark. I mean, it reminds me, it's a story I've told to when I was running Acorn Kids. I told my distributors the story that when my daughter was about 2 years old, I understood perfectly well that she couldn't breathe underwater. But the day she fell into the water and I had to dive in and pull her out and give her mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to bring her back to life, the knowledge went from here to here. And I then became unbelievably vociferous about water safety. And you have an opportunity in the MLM space to take people's knowledge from here to here, because they're going to experience your product. They're going to fall in love with your product. They're going to understand what makes that product good. What are the ingredients that make that product epic? And if you can get that knowledge into them, then even if they stop doing the business, they become your best customer. They are loyal to you until the day they die.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, it's that as an executive, hell, if you can teach people about your product in that way, that's where you have a powerhouse business, in my opinion.
And on that, some of the most successful people that you see were, in the beginning, just loyal customers, right? and were totally convinced that their vitamin supplements were good for them and good for their family, and or that the water filter was the best thing for their family, and they knew that they were drinking good water and putting good water into their bodies because of that, or the detergents, or the whatever else, that those products were so good. Now I want to represent them myself. I don't just want to consume them, I also want to represent them. And that you can't have a better promoter of your products than one that is just totally convinced that they're the best thing in the neighborhood.
And I think if you can measure your business not on how fast you grow your distributor base, but on how well you develop your customer base, I think that is the secret of success in our space. Because what happens is too many people get into our business and then they want to grow 20, 30, 40, 50,000 distributors. But how do you, if you do that in a year, how can you possibly train 50,000 distributors? If you did that same job over 10 years, by the time you get your 50,000 distributors, you've got 50,000 people who are well trained, who understand your business, who love your business, who are passionate about your business. And so that's a different approach to what most people come in, as you know, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256. They do the exponential curve, and then they go shopping for a Porsche.
Right? Or they say they do.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? In their mind, they just see the numbers, and then they say, okay, if each person just does $500 worth of sales, I can buy that Porsche instead of that Porsche. You know, it becomes it's a different way of looking at things.
Right. One thing that I would say, though, and we were kind of touching on getting into this industry, is that there's a lot of talk about the incredible successes of multi-level marketing, direct selling companies that grow and expand and things like that, and many of them are true, but it's to think that after the launch that the money is going to just be there and self-replicating somehow, and it's just going to take off. You've got to start with the right plan. You've got to start with the right budget. You've got to have the right financial backing already set up, because it's going to take a while, right? And there's going to be a lot of investments that have to be made in order to do things right, and that awareness and that readiness to be there for the midterm has to be there. And if you're going to struggle, and you can't be having that same conversation with your investors every 3 months about the next level of budgeting. It has to be a plan that gives the people in the field and the people who are starting the business the confidence that, you know, we're here for the long term, and there has to be a financial plan that shows we're going to get ourselves for the first 3 years, because you're going to need that. It takes a long time to get the field up to where it needs to be.
When you go and speak to a new company, they're wanting to get into the MLM space. Generally, we can honestly say that they don't know what they don't know, because most people who want to get into our space have been a distributor for an Amway or a Herbalife or a GNLD or any one of these companies out there.
I can do this.
Yeah, and they think, well, this is easy, because what they've done is they've built a network. And maybe they've been successful at building a network. But when you are taking this on from a company point of view, understand this, for me, it's like running a massive business, because these businesses get really big, and there's all of the complexities of running a traditional business. And then it's like running an army of volunteers, like running a church, because you've got an army of people who are there, they're volunteering. You don't have any handle on them. You don't have a salary to leverage. Nothing. So you cannot treat those people in the way you would treat, you know, a normal individual. And I'm sure you've seen that. You go in the company and then they don't know what they don't know. So how would you tackle that? You know, you see a CEO. Now, what would your message be to somebody that's thinking about this here?
Depending on, is that an existing company? Are they in classical retail, and do they want to go into direct selling?
Let's say that's it. Okay. That's who it is.
Then they have already covered one big area. That's products. That's probably logistics. All the other things. What is totally new for them is the sales part, because that's a different world and that's totally different. So my recommendation would be you look for somebody who can run that job. And then that some person is looking for a team, because the sales aspects in direct selling, multi-level marketing are totally different from a normal retail business. And that also applies to a big extent to marketing. I wouldn't say logistics and all the other areas, that's not such a big thing. But to me, these are the two key components, sales and marketing. Another topic might be IT, because today in the digital world, the distributors, the field force, they run their own businesses. They have solutions which is not known in the normal retail industry. They run their own web shops. They have that. They can do marketing activities for their customers, etc. All that is not available in the normal businesses. So my strong recommendation is you get people who know the business.
Now, there's a learning curve either way. If you decide to do it on your own, because obviously a lot of CEOs, A-type personalities, I'm one of those, I can do this, it's easy, You either learn through experience, and Peter Drucker says the most expensive lesson in the world is to learn through experience, or you get people who know the business and get them to come in and get them to short circuit all of the learning curve, because you've done it, Mark, you've done it, Christian. Yeah. Get them to short circuit all of that stuff and actually, these are the 20 things we need to do. This is how we're going to do it. And you short circuit it. And the chances of your business succeeding on that basis goes through the roof. Would you agree?
I think there's another aspect. Depending on how your company is already structured, you might have people who want to go into that new area and cover new responsibilities or different responsibilities. Then you look for a team who is coming in and helping them out for a period of time. Let's say you hire a consultant, whatever, for whatever reasons you need them, and they basically team up with the people who are going to cover those positions in the future. And when that is set up and they feel safe, the consultant leaves. That's the other option.
We've had 3 different clients that all took the same approach, coming from a position of strength, having products that were interesting for direct selling and multi-level marketing. They're already in the classic retail space of their particular industries, and said, we want to go into direct selling, we want to go into multi-level marketing because we see a good opportunity here. And we agreed with the products and so on and so forth. And the classic mistake made 3 times was, and this guy is a superstar on my team, this guy's a superstar, and they're all going to support the launch team. As opposed to, we're going to put them on the launch team and they're not going to do their day jobs anymore. They're going to focus for the next 12 months only on getting this baby off the ground. And these people are trying to wear 2 hats instead of, it was basically saying, I'm not totally committed to doing this, right? That you've got to have full commitment, and you can't just ask people in your organization to do both, because the two are in conflict with each other. The marketers from your classic retail are not going to know how to market for multi-level marketing. The people, even in logistics, who are normally sending products to supermarkets or to other retail outlets, they don't know how to get pick packs to work for single boxes that have to go to single people. It's a different world, and they might be the head of distribution, and they might have an idea, and of course they're going to be worthy of those topics and educated and so on and so forth, but they're not going to know the nuances of and the importance of those areas. And so you have to set up a team that is fully dedicated to making this thing work, or it won't.